Hey, I want to welcome you all. This is our last talk of the 2022 Hardwood Rock Summit. Yes, you're closing us out. And
best to last.
Yeah, the best for last. There you go. And what's cool is there are more people at this talk than there was for the Diamond talk. Ooh, yeah. It's just a different group.
Yeah, like.
But, all right, well, very good. Well, Brian's going to talk today and give us an overview of the fluorescent minerals of the world. You're going to cover every single one?
Actually what happened, that was the original title submitted, but this is what it is. I was asked to, by one of the people, to bring it to Colorado. So this is all Colorado. I left out all the other really good spots, so I don't think you'll even see a piece of Franklin.
Or Sterling.
Sterling Hill. Yeah, but go ahead.
I got off. I do that. Somebody says squirrel, and there I go, and off. But Brian, interest in fluorescence started in elementary school, and as a kid, he was always involved in collecting rocks and fossils. He first learned about fluorescent minerals from Franklin, New Jersey, while attending a local mineral show. He has a BA in Earth Science, Geology from the University of Northern Colorado. He has taught Earth Sciences in Chadron, Nebraska, and Longmont, Colorado. When the first personal computers came out, he switched careers to IT and received MCIS software engineering from the University of Denver. So he's worked in IT for 32 years, retired, now he just concentrates on rocks. Way to go. Currently, he is the lead of the Fluorescent Minerals Society, Rocky Mountain Chapter, and the president of the Boulder County's Flatiron Mineral Club. He's also helped with Fluorescent Minerals Society at the 2022 Tucson show and as a docent for the 50-plus case Fluorescent Room. Additionally, he is a co-host of Fluorescent Room here, right around the corner.
We'll wait
till a few more minutes. And so, if you would, give Brian a warm welcome.
Thank you. All right. First of all, can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Because as you heard, I was a teacher, and I was a junior high, and I was a junior high football coach. So I know how to amplify my voice. Of course, my kids knew that too when they were little. Now today, the grandkids are here with my daughter and daughter-in-law. But as speaking, I hold, do a lot of different things, but this was my main interest. One thing I would like to point out, the presentation was for overview of the whole fluorescent mineral world, but somebody called me up locally and said, bring it down to Colorado. So I contacted my fellow collector, Steve Wojcik, who was out of Fluorescent, and he collects down in Fluorescent in southern Colorado. So he supplied with a lot of photographs because I'm north of Boulder and that's my territory. I don't venture down there unless we hook up and we do a joint field trip once or twice a year. So some of these are his. Most of these are all my photographs other than the graphs. So I want to give credit to Steve for doing that. He was a good buddy of mine. What we're going to go over, a little bit of the introduction, a little understanding ultraviolet light because it's used a lot more than being in minerals, how it fits into the electromagnetic spectrum, and how it was discovered, how this ultraviolet spectrum works, because if you've been to our display room, you will see that there are long wave, mid wave, and short wave cases. A little bit about the science of fluorescence, and then the real key part to be a collector is understanding the lamps and what you have to do, because the lamps that are in that display room are not the lamps I take out in the field. One, I don't have a battery big enough to power a 95 watt, and also they're $1,500 a piece and they weigh a ton. And one trip and fall, so now you'll see what I use for collecting in the field, and then I'm going to go over just how to set up a good case, and then we're going to get into looking at collecting Colorado, the places that I go to, as well as my buddy Steve goes to, and that's just a small portion of the state that we do. So that's what we have here. So this, believe it or not, I bought this when I was in 6th grade. And for those of you who have been around a while, there's a company called Edmund Scientific, based in southern New Jersey, near Philly. And I ordered a black light, and I got all these cool, the book. This is still original stuff. I pulled it out of the dust and everything, and believe it or not, I plugged that beast in, and that is, I don't want to date myself, but that's probably going on 55 years old, and it still works. And it's made in USA. It was before they outsourced. I think they were outsourcing things to Japan back then. And the crayons and I still have my piece of fluorite, and I also have my piece of Wernerite on there. So so this is, and I have a whole bunch, because when I taught science, I taught a unit on fluorescence, and then I had a little better lamp that I bought, and it worked out real well. Well, ultraviolet does have a lot of different, tell me I can somehow move the mouse, but yeah. Anyhow, it's used in curing, painting, coating. Obviously, it's used in forensic investigation. It's used by me in forensic when the dog or cat pees on the carpet. All black light, it's great. It shows up yellow, and then you get the spot shot and take care of it. The carpet's a disaster. It's on the honey-do list to start shopping for new carpet. It's used in molecular. The top photograph here, in my IT career, I worked for Amgen up in Longmont, and I was in charge of the regulatory computer systems. And these transluminators in the upper right-hand corner are used for DNA sequencing. Turns out they're a shortwave ultraviolet, and when some of the slags or busts in biotech, these things are on eBay for $25. Now you can't find them because they're very easy to swap out bulbs. And one of the gentlemen that's is displaying with a transilluminator that has 3 different bulbs in it: long wave, mid wave, short wave. It's used really big in currency. Jerry's giving a demonstration of the stripe in different colored bills. That's why if you go to Walmart and you hand them a 50, they're going to put it under a little box and see if it glows a certain color. Obviously, it was used quite a bit here in the COVID, especially the shortwave. I just hope that they wore a good eye protection and didn't get fried, but it will take care of, kill about anything, and also give you a real good sunburn if you're not careful. Leak detection, fluids, and then also finally in gems and minerals. We had, I set up Tuesday and Wednesday, and we had, when I was not here on Thursday, we had a gentleman from the gem show bring a briefcase in and ask my partner Jerry to close the door and hit it with the high-powered 95, and he had about $2 million worth of diamonds to check and look for fakes and impurities, because the black lights will power it up right away. I don't know what he was doing, but he gave my buddy Jerry $5 for a beer. He should have asked for a diamond at least. But yeah, so there's a lot of uses with UV. Now, as far as where it fits in the spectrum, it's right in the middle. Again, the waves start getting smaller, and I'm going to just use this as a pointer. Basically, we're visible light's in the middle, and it's measured in nanometers, billionths of a meter. So we have infrared, which is heating, microwave, which is heating, radio waves, and actually one of the interesting things with a microwave, those little, if you look at the screen of your microwave and you see the holes, that's the holes that are small enough to block the microwaves from escaping. Yeah, and then on the ultraviolet side, you go from ultraviolet to X-rays, and then you get into the gamma rays, which is with your radioactive materials, and we do have some in there, and that's one of my hobbies, is collecting radioactives. So this is how it fits in the overall electromagnetic spectrum, and also now with the, the Webb telescope, they see in different wavelengths and different view. Now with ultraviolet, there's basically three. We refer to it in two different terms. UVA is now the preferred term, but it's long-wave ultraviolet. It's about 365 nanometers, perfectly safe. This was, for those of you of my age, this was your black light posters you had in your college dorm room. No problem with that. You can have it on all day long and it won't do anything. UVB is mid-wave, and that's what causes sunburn. So that's what you gotta start taking care of. And then finally, with more energy and more power, we have UVC, and that's shortwave ultraviolet. So they refer to it as long wave, mid-wave, and shortwave. And the shortwave has more energy, and I'm gonna say, out of all the minerals that we have, probably 75% react to shortwave. That may not react to long wave because the energy isn't there. So just briefly, a little bit on this. Long wave, the technology's really changed. We used to have the big fluorescent tubes, black light bulbs. Here's a piece of, from Sweden. So some minerals will do long wave. There's no real filtering involved in this. It passes through. You might have seen me in the room with my, well, it's not here, I left it all there, but I'm able to shine through the cases and light up and highlight some of the minerals. Mid-wave is part of the sunlight. That's what you're putting sunscreen on for. Helps you produce vitamin D, but in excess, it will trigger a sunburn or a burn on your eyes. And I remember back in the old mart, I was helping somebody set up a case without my safety glasses, and I could feel like a burning sensation. And when I got home, my wife said, "Your eyes are all red." And then I said, and then I went to sleep. It was like sandpaper. So after that, I went to Home Depot and got a big pair of polycarbonate glasses, and that filters out the mid-wave, as also it filters out the short wave. And the short wave is the one that will really burn you.
Can that do it in a matter of minutes or?
Minutes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. When we're setting up those rocks to kind of line them up just perfectly in the cases, long wave, no problem. Those glasses are on, so I'm in there for 4 days, and I can notice by my wristwatch, because I'm wearing long sleeves, but for the first few days I've been in a t-shirt, I've gotten a suntan. Slow leakage, but it's the amount of exposure, just like any radiation. I've been exposed for days and days and days and days. But yeah, those they're 95 watts, and one of them is 190 watts that are thrown out. So it's like, I don't know what they do in the tanning salons, but salons, but it's you got to be careful with the short wave, especially around your eyes. Your skin can handle a little burn, but your eyes can't. And a lot of the old timers that I met down in Tucson, I'm heading there too, but all have to have cataract surgery or have had cataract surgery because of the blurring up, fading of the lenses. So with fluorescence, it all goes under the family of luminescence, the ability to glow, and there's different types of luminescence. I heard that yesterday. There's fluorescence and phosphorescence, which is cold light, and we do that as a demonstration for the kids. We have a box of Franklin material, and then I shine my little portable spotlight on it, and there's no heat involved at all. It's just a cool temperature. There's trioluminescence, where you strike something together, not like flint that gives you a spark, but it will actually glow with the shock. Chemoluminescence, those are the bracelets that we give to kids when they come in. You crack it, you mix the chemicals, and they're walking around with their glow bracelets. And then we have bioluminescence, which is really an interesting field when you're collecting at nighttime, because you don't know, lichen is the most incredible stuff high up in the mountains. It's multi-colors and things, and I do want to just photograph that. But then, scorpions, especially people in the southwest and southern Colorado, scorpions will light up, and other creatures will light up. And of course, deep sea creatures generate their own bioluminescence, and that's a whole big science behind that part. Now, the neat part of how fluorescence was discovered is through the mineral fluorite, and this gentleman, George Stokes, in 1852, they knew what prisms were, and he was able then to use a series of prisms and split off, the rainbow of the visible, and then take it again and split it off more, and you can't see ultraviolet. So all of a sudden, what was beyond violet, he called fluorescence because he put a piece of fluorite at the end of it, and it started fluorescing or glowing. And that thus got the term fluorescence. So it's been known since 1852. Again, powering this stuff is a constantly involving field. So the true definition of fluorescence is you put in one wavelength of light, one emission, and then a different color comes out. But the two things that take away from this is it's immediate, like boom, you hit it with the flashlight. And I should have brought my flashlight, but I realized that it's not, against these screens, it's not worth it. These screens will light up in the dark with your UV light. But the other thing is, you hit it with ultraviolet, it's never going to go a different color darker than violet. It's always going to be backwards on the color spectrum. So that's kind of a difference, and that's how the little electrons get all excited and so forth. So that's about as technical as I'm going to get on this part. There's what's known as activators. You have to have a certain ratio of trace elements to make something fluoresce, and that's Franklin, New Jersey is well known. Manganese is one of the, and it's in like parts per million, parts per billion mixed in, and that will help activate and make things go. Other ones, the uranium's great. We go out with our scintillators, our Geiger counters, find hot spots, flag them, come back at nighttime, and if they glow, we're picking them up and then we're selling them. And if they don't glow, we leave them there. There's a bunch of uranium lying around outside the house. Moly, tungsten, lead, boron, titanium, chromium will all do that. And then the other one that's been interesting is that some of the pieces we've had XRD, X-ray diffraction, and you can detect the fluorescent or the rare earth minerals in it. And europium is like the one that's responsible for the blue color. And I forget what these other ones are, but these are all things that we found in rare earth research and sending our rocks through the equipment at CU. But for activators, you also have, if you have an overabundance, you have quenchers, things that will bring down the fluorescence are also eliminated. So iron and copper in higher quantities won't work, and large amounts it won't work. So they have a dampening effect. So the best thing to do with prospecting is take your lights out, start your driveway or even gravel for around your flower bed, and start looking, and then eventually graduate out into different areas. It's pretty interesting what you find at night. So let's go over the lamps, because now you're getting into, this is your practical of how to collect fluorescent minerals. There are two types of lamps. One are our big fluorescent tubes, and this is what we are running inside the display cases. They're mounted up top. There's usually one, sometimes there's two. There's a long wave and a short wave. You can only see one. And this is what we run out in the field, because I can hang on my neck on a heavy-duty lanyard or in my back pocket. $1,500 versus one of these now is coming down to about $40 or $50. So you don't have to worry about carrying a big battery pack. You can just, it fits in, just charge, and if you're out for a long time, which we're never out that long, you can carry an extra battery with you. So, you know, these ones have all 3 wavelengths, the fluorescent tubes, they're very high powered, and they're large. As you can see, they'll fill up one of our cases, whereas the new generation here, the LEDs, they're small, they're lightweight, battery powered. You just charge them up, you know, before you're ready to go, put another backup battery in there, and they've always come out with UVA long wave. I haven't seen any mid-wave portables, but they just came out with shortwave. And there's 2 companies that are battling it out, but one released, and I waited a year, and I saw them down in Tucson, and talked to the guys and said, what do you think? And it said, it's ready for marketplace. So I dropped $500 on it. But again, short wave, 75% of the minerals work on short wave. So I'm going out and, yeah, next week is honeydews. Following night is, we're going on a fluorescent trip. And we're going with all types of equipment here, but they're all going to be the new next generation. And then the other stuff I'll leave on the bed in the pickup truck, and then I can plug it in and we can go ahead. So this is what I would recommend, is going with the LEDs. Now, where to get these? There are basically 3 main vendors. Way Too Cool has been around the longest. That's Bill Gardner. He's in the Glendale, Phoenix area. He supplies a lot of our lamps that we're displaying with, and also the portable ones. He's in the whole business. Don Newsom up in Seattle area. He displays really high-power display lamps and a couple bigger power 35-watt handhelds, but they're being replaced by this company here, going after the flashlights, which are, you know, that. And again, the idea is, you know, flashlights are cheaper, lower cost, and the big ones are used for a permanent display case. So that's the thing. So those are your companies to look after. I think there used to be a UVP, UV products, but I think he's gotten out of the market there because these other guys have taken over. The main thing when you're purchasing one of these is what not to buy. It's very important with all these LED flashlights, as well as our display lamps, is the filtering. Because they give out the whole spectrum of light, but the filter glass is what filters out and allows a specific wavelength in, like, you know, long wave, short wave, but it filters the white light. You can get one of these guys on Amazon for $15. I run a combination CMS trip, Flatirons Mineral, up to Crawford, Nebraska, and we hunt agates, and at nighttime we hunt the agates with fluorescent lights. And the kids are all out there with their $15 Amazon lights, and they're getting washed out because of all the white light. So you have to make sure that you have a filter on it, and then, again, that brings up the cost. People don't know that. And then even with the new one, they were trying to sell short waves, and these short waves, yeah, it's short wave, but it's washed out by white light, so no good. But now this has been cured by, you know, taking care of good filter glass. And the other thing that you have to be aware of with filter glass, not so much with the portables that I use, but is called solarization. These glass will fade in a matter of 5 to 10 years. We have to replace the lamps that we're using, the glass. The bulbs will go all the time as long as you don't flick them on and off. But this is my collection that I currently use. This was my field operation for many years. It's UVC, UVA, long wave, short wave, and it's hooked to a battery jump start that you buy on Amazon, shove it in a pocket, and I get about 45 minutes. Problem is, it was $800, slip and fall. You know, I had to be extremely careful, and then trying to juggle that, and I don't have the best back, so you know, having somebody carry my minerals, This one here I use for photography. It's a 35 watt, because that's another thing is you don't want to overexpose your minerals when you're taking, photographs. So we always shoot with a lower power lamp, because you can always bring it up in Photoshop or Lightroom and make it better. But this is my field collection. And what I have here is, this is the little guy that I've been using. This has been my standard for a long time. But for prospecting, I want to be able to shoot from here to the wall to see if something lights up. So this is a Convoy S2, and they're $50 on through one of those companies. This now is the Convoy C8. It's a lot more powerful. It's a little bit bigger, but still fits in the pocket. But again, I've been in places down by Blanchard, New Mexico, and light up a whole side of a canyon in Caliche and see the fluoride sparkle from 30, 40, 50 feet away. And that lets me know that, yep, there's something there. And then I judge the brightness of it. And then this one just was added to my collection about a month ago. This is shortwave. That's a $500 toy. Yes, it is a toy according to my wife. But it's a vital piece of equipment that I really, we tested it here. It's worked great. It's really, really good. So I'm looking forward to dangling both of those from my neck. And actually, I strap all three. I have this guy, and I have a regular flashlight, so I can just go back and forth between white light, UV light, and then cycle my batteries and keep them going. So that's my basic outfit for now. I don't think I'll ever be able to get a display case, but that's all right. I bring them here and display them. And that's now to the subject of cases. You really get a lot of this, and you get into the field of fluorescent minerals. You want to build a case. Cases are very expensive, $500, $700 or more a case. But this is shots taken from Tucson on 2 award-winning cases, and again, I forget the gentleman's name. But the key thing in a case is spread out make sure your rocks are about the same size. Make sure your color balance is right, so you don't have like green and green, pink and pink, red and red together. These are all like nice blend ones, and this is really cool. It's one that's half and half. I forget what it is. It's not sharp enough on here, but you can see that he did a really good job. And the same with this one here. A nice case, all uniform size, a little bit crammed together, but still good enough to win one of the awards. So that's how you set up a case, and then you set it up long wave, short wave, or combo. So here we are. We're going to talk about where to get these things in Colorado. And this is one of my collecting areas. It's private. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's my brother and my brother-in-law. They are violating one of my rules. Don't be near this cliff without a hard hat. I had to yell and tell them to get out. It's a giant collapsed stope glory hole. But you got 2 choices when you're out in the field. You scout the area in the daytime. And you got to kind of know what you're looking for, because they're not easily identifiable unless you know the region. So one of the best things to do is to get a cover so you get the darkness. And the best covers are Weber barbecue covers for your Weber barbecue. Problem is, they are sealed plastic. And if it's summertime, you got about 3 minutes in there before you're roasting. So we use it for spot checking, but what you do then is you come back at nighttime, you know where all the hazards are, you know the possible good spots, you hit the ground, and look at that, it's lighting up with blue fluorite, and the orange is caliche. This is down in the Blanchard. So nighttime collecting is the preferred way to do it, but you got to know your territory, where you're going for safety reasons, because it's trip and fall, you can get killed. It's very simple, or you can get eaten. Because right now bears are feeding 20 hours a day, and mountain lions like to pounce from above, and you never go out alone, never. Minimum we run is 5 people, because one person up front with the spotlight, another guy in the back with a second spotlight to make sure nobody's coming up in the back, and then a few people in the front with the lamps. And of course we split it all up. You know, it's just kind of the code that we run by. So this is one of my favorite places. I live north of Boulder, mouth of Left Hand Canyon, and just up where I live is the Emmett Mine. It's private property. I am the de facto, well, I actually have written permission to be the caretaker of this mine, and it's loaded full of fluorite and lots of other minerals. But I mean, you wouldn't know it. I know it because I've got, you know, pounds and pounds of this, but here it is under white light in the daytime, and here's the exact same mineral, the fluorite being the whitish and blue, and there's a little piece of halide opal in the middle, a little spot, but you'd never be able to detect it in here. I used to have this set up where I'd click, 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 but I don't know what happened to that part of the show. So that's local. Anything radioactive will fluoresce. Here I'm hitting it with one of my convoys. This is autumnite, and it's reading 162 CPS counts per second. I have my alarm set off at 1,000. This is like insignificant. I still would not put it in my pocket. And again, with this mine, nobody's allowed up there of the childbearing age. You got to have your kids. And the older the better, because you don't want it's radioactive. In some places, I have registered, 20,000 CPS, which is hotter than heck. And again, it's a matter of exposure. But what we do is we'll walk along in the daylight, mark the spots, shove a red fluorescent flag in, and again, red fluorescent with a 30-foot beam, find it no problem, come back, and then we look for the autumnite. If it's pretty darn good, then we put it in the bag. And the main thing that you have to worry about when you're digging autumnite, since it is radioactive, is the dust. You can get it on your skin. I mean, I've seen some of these guys from School of Mines that trained me, just like, just wipe it on your hands. But you technically never eat when you're radioactive collecting, and we try to go after a rainstorm, so there's no dust. But if we don't have a dust, that N95 mask is on us, because that's the last thing you want, is to get this inside of you. That's where it does the damage. So that's one form. And here's a really good sample. This is from the Faraday mine. It's the hottest uranium mine in Boulder County and Ward. It's one of these landlocked parcels of U.S. Forest Service land, but I'm on the left-hand fire department and was able to network my way in through the fire chief who knew the person, who knew somebody, and I got introduced and told them what I was going to do and what I was going to look for, and went, and I knew, I used to cover because it was in there in the daytime, and it was me and one other person, and just found some gorgeous autumnite. So what I did was, when I get back from private property, I dump everything out on the bed of my pickup truck. I kind of cover it and shade it, but again, with a high-powered lamp, this stuff lights up like an airplane, warning light, and I show them it, and I offer them first choice. Well, anything radioactive, nobody's ever picked up a piece for, for other types of minerals, yes, they'll take first choice on that. So that's a pretty good one. The Division of Reclamation and Mine Safety just got done fencing this one in, but since I know the people, I have permission to get through the gate, because I do collecting, and we are going to do some rare earth research up there before it snows, and then it's gone until June. Here's another one. This is hyalite opal. It's a silicate that comes through. It's kind of a waxy color. You can kind of find it in the daylight, but it's much better to go out at night. And this is shortwave, and that's one of the reasons I do that. And again, they're real spectacular green here, and they're a fun one. I mean, I've got some pretty good sized boulders at home, and also some smaller pieces. So this is the Emmett mine as well. Bueno is another one in the Jamestown area. Bueno was a big fluorite producer, gold producer, zinc producer. It had everything in there. And we were walking along the Bueno, and all of a sudden you pick up anything that looks metallic, and then you feel the weight of it. And if it's heavy, you know you have some type of ore. And I didn't know what it was, and it was like the size of a loaf of bread. It took 3 of us rotating with a 5-pound crack hammer and a chisel to bust it into 3 equal pieces. And then one of the guys had a lot more mineralogy knowledge. He was able to identify it as sphalerite and some galena. And then I took it home and put the black light on it, and long wave too. Sphalerite's great for long wave. And it lit up and said, well, I got myself a great find that the people somebody just missed. This one, we ran a trip to Canyon City, and this is my friend Steve. Since he's down in Fluorescent, he knows all the areas there. But these are pieces, we 4-wheel drived up a brutal road, an easy road for the last half mile, and then it was crawling at a half a mile an hour so I wouldn't bottom out my truck. And it has botryoidal fluorite and 95 degrees in this trench. We lasted an hour. We picked up what he thought was looking good because he'd been there before. It's been a long time since I've worked with Photoshop, so unfortunately I couldn't flip the background to black, but that's what it looks like under long wave. And I said, huh. And then he told me, well, aren't you taking a look at this stuff under shortwave? And then here it is under shortwave. A lot more better colors have been brought out in this botryoidal fluoride, as well as we have not identified this orange band. It doesn't react to any acid. We're not sure what it is, and I should have brought a piece for Pete or somebody to try to identify what that banding is. And we're going to head back there after rattlesnake season, because right now they're out in the morning, they're hidden under the rocks, but anytime you go hunting for minerals, never hunt on the surface, because people have already been there. You got to dig down in the dump piles. So we went down, we're going to go down there late November, early October. We're pretty sure the snakes are going to be deep underground and won't bother us on a cold night. This one is from Steve. This is Oil Well Flats. I really don't know where this is in the Canyon City area, but it's one of the popular places to go ahead and find different minerals at nighttime. And again, he knows the area quite well, so there'll be a camping trip for that, because they're located in that particular area. And here's another one. This is aragonite. And again, I wish I would have had contrast photographs of the two. So that's one white, interesting. This one was, I got this this summer. I'm what you call, I hold multiple citizenships. Besides being president of Flatirons Mineral Club, I'm a member of CMS, Fluorescent Mineral Society, DREGS, the Denver Regional Exploration Geologists, WIPS. Well, I got a trip with DREGS to go underground to the Detroit City mine, which is the new portal that they're pumping in or drilling in, that was right above the Sweet Home mine where those giant rhodochrosite crystals were from years ago, or last year's thing. And when we were in the mine, I was the only one they were all these guys are exploration geologists, so they were more into the geochemistry, the faulting and everything like that. I hung back with the contract miner who was doing sweep to make sure that nobody would disappear into a different drift or something. And we started chatting, and I was showing him the stuff lighting up and everything. He says, "This is all going to the dump pile." And I said, "Well, can I take a piece?" And he said, because Brian believes that you can't take anything. And the kid says, "I'm going to be shoveling this out this afternoon." So I was managed to find a nice, beautiful piece of sphalerite vein running through fluorite. And that's on display in one of my cases. It was a pretty cool experience to be under, and in total darkness. It's like, yeah, this is the way to do it here. Another one that Steve has is Mushroom Gulch, which is in the Trout Creek. As you drop down from Fairplay into Buena Vista, you can see these. It's not too far off the road. There's a rhyolite cliff, and it's a silicate. It's hyalite opal or calcitnate silicate, and the rocks are coated in it. And that one's a perfectly safe place to go at nighttime, other than right now the bears. But again, 3 people will scare away a bear. Another one that Steve has, and I've been here too, is the Camp Bird mine above Uray. You hunt the mining dumps there. Don't do the surface. Everybody's done the surface. Dig down 2 feet, and you'll be amazed. I have quartz crystals that deep, that big, from digging down 2 feet deep. One that has sat, I had to split it in half to carry it off the dump pile. And then I got a beautiful piece of magnetocalcite as well from it. But Camp Bird does have some good fluorescence in there, and it's still accessible now up until mid-October. Bobcat Mine near Telluride. I've hunted Telluride. I found gold near the Idorado, but I've never really, when I was on a field trip there, I never really went and looked for any fluorescence. And right now, who knows? With Telluride, they'd probably arrest me. Who are you? Are you going to mine us or something like that? And then this is Bear Basin, and again, this is Steve's country down in southern Colorado. So there's some of his nice barite finds. And one of the things that I did is I organized a trip to Socorro, New Mexico, because all 3 of us, this is right when they were lifting COVID, we were all double vaxxed. This is before triple. And these guys, Tom lives, he lives in Denver, as well as Las Cruces. Conrad used to be the former president of the Fluorescent Mineral Society. He's in Centennial. Me in the middle, Steve from Fluorescent, and Bruce came all the way from Scottsdale. We're all buddies. We all met. We had 5 days of just, the most fun going through all the different historic mine dumps. We got done with the Blanchard in the daytime. And then on the way back, Ray DeMarc, it's private, or it's leased, it's a claim. Ray wanted us to check in, and we did it. And I turned it over to Tom, who's a mineralogist like Ray is, and they talk minerals and everything. And then Ray said, "Well, why don't you go back at nighttime?" Which we did, and it was incredible. He said, "Just be up, just 4-wheel up before it gets dark." It's no problem there, because it's you can take a regular pickup, 4-wheel drive pickup truck up there, and you never get a Subaru up. And we filled up buckets just lying around, because the whole place was lighting up blue. That was one of the original slides that we have. A couple other plugs that we have, we have the Fluorescent Mineral Society. We have the Fluorescent Mineral Society also puts out a journal. The journal is it's very technical. It's professional level, scientific. Some of the members are, one guy teaches at Caltech. They're all research people, and they write a very, very heavy-duty articles in there. Whereas our bi-monthly newsletter, they'll take like the fluff material from me. I'll identify some of the things, but this is more like a fun trip, and I do the photography and so on. And actually, a trick with this, I couldn't remember how to set my Nikon on a timer. So what I did was I had all of us line up, and Bruce ran the camera and took it. And then I marked on the ground where Bruce was supposed to stand, and I took a photograph of everybody with a gap. A gap. I wasn't in here, and then I used Photoshop and brought the 2 together. So this photo, actually I think they credited both Bruce and me on the photo, because that's why now I know how to do time delay on my Nikon, but. When you have so much time, or not enough time, and so many mines to visit and mine dumps, we wanted a group photograph. And we actually got our own edition that got sent out to the Fluorescent Mineral Society. A couple other places that and I didn't have time to put it together. Well, it's kind of mixed in here, is some good sites. Nature's Rainbows is like the top website for fluorescent minerals. He has a wealth of information. He's based out of Tennessee. There's all types of others. Will this be public domain on YouTube? Yeah. And also I have my business cards there that you can grab a card, send me an email, and I'll send you the addresses. But we have a very, very active Facebook page, and I think it's probably 11,000, 20,000 people on there. A lot of amateurs, but they're the people that monitor it. That's their job, is to help people with the hobby. A lot of photo competition, a lot of how take proper photographs and tips and everything. They work real well. We have our Rocky Mountain Chapter one. We have our YouTube channel. I have my YouTube channel, and there's many different places to go. But this will tell you here. And then finally, on behalf of the Rocky Mountain Chapter of the Fluorescent Mineral Society, I really appreciate you coming. So thank you. Very good timing. See, that's what you get for being in business. 1 minute per slide. And I got 38 slides, and that burned up, that's about 40 minutes. So worked out real well. And since I'm not dealing with executives, the rule with executive is only 3 bullets per slide, because that's all the execs could absorb.
So any questions? Anybody got questions?
Yeah, questions. Any questions? Yeah, who you got back there? Harley? Yes, do you have a question? Yes? That's my granddaughter. And she has a bag full of rocks. And some of them we brought in even fluoresce, which she is very happy about. And the other granddaughter, McKenna, and little baby Sutton, and also little baby Lincoln. Where's Lincoln? Yeah, hi. And it's great because my wife does not like rocks at all, and I have three granddaughters that love rocks, which will be my new companions and everything when we get out in the field. Yes?
Do you foresee LEDs taking over the display market?
Once they're able to, right now, they're putting LEDs together in like groups of 10. Once they're able to build like a 4 foot long with probably 100 LEDs, they'll be taking it over because they are very, very powerful.
Are they going to have to use the same type and size of filter?
Yeah, they all use Walko filters, high grade. But yeah, that's where the next. Right now, the big market is get handhelds out because it's cheap. But then, for these case ones here that have a life of 10 to 20 years, you're not going to be doing it. But yeah, they are. We actually are running one of them behind one of our cases, but it's about that big, but it's only the ends. So only the ends get lit down. Where those LEDs, you've got to kind of spread them out a little bit, and or just throw a whole big bank of them. So they're working on it, but the money right now is in handheld flashlights.
So I heard that cycling them on and off all the time to show daylight and UV can hurt the ballast in the current
Yes.
lights. I assume the LED lights will be better for that?
Right. Flip them off thousands of times. That's why this year we decided to leave our, instead of turning our lights off and turning them on, and as our ultraviolet, we just flick on the white lights that are powerful enough to kind of wash out the black light, ultraviolet, and then go back again. But yeah, that will burn out the ballast. I mean, Conrad North has his display at the, what's that museum north of Colorado Springs, the mining, or?
Western Mining Museum.
Yeah, Western Mining. He has his display there, and he loaned his whole display, including his lamps, and they have already gone through ballast, and tubes. He made the agreement, you're gonna pay for the maintenance. I'll loan you all the stuff, you pay for the maintenance. They've gone through 2 sets of bulbs and 2 sets of ballasts, because they're, I don't know, I think it's a room where it's triggered, where you walk in and it flicks on. Where it'd be better just to leave it on all day. But, that was part. But again, his collection, he didn't want it all to himself in his basement. Might as well let, all the people experience it. School of Mines is up there, collection. We've already talked to the New Mexico School of Mines Museum. They're running the old fluorescent tubes. And we're just going, gosh, you guys are in like 1960s Jimi Hendrix era here. You want to, get yourself some really good lamps. And I don't know, hopefully with the new person that's in charge of the museum there, they'll cough up some bucks and make their display pretty nice. Because New Mexico, especially with Blanchard, has some incredible material. Any other questions? Well, grab a business card if you want to email me on anything. And hey, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, that is our last talk of the show this year. So thank you all for coming out.
Thanks, Dale.
Yeah.